Great good morning, everyone. 9:08 a.m. on my Cordaro Jewelers watch. This beautiful Friday, August 21, year of our Lord 20 and 26. This is the Bob Cordaro Show. I am he, broadcasting today from the United States of America, the place where the brave, like the veterans we will salute today, having lost them this year, thanks to John Basiliga and the Basiliga Hospitality Group, like Dominic Luparella, born New Bradwell, Wolverton, Bucks, England, but he was from Carbondale. Philip Dunio, Dunmore, and Arthur White, Selinsgrove. The United States of America, founded with a certain knowledge and understanding by our amazing, irreplaceable, and profoundly wise founding fathers who knew that government should not be and set about to make sure it would not be our parent, our guide, our direction, our salvation. Because they knew that government power always means less freedom, less liberty, and less choice. They also knew that government power, because of human nature, would be abused. The United States of America, the country where, for the first time in human history, freedom was declared by law to be an unalienable right granted to each individual by God. Freedom couldn't be parceled out to groups. It couldn't be controlled by government or government officials because our great American Constitution ensures and codifies freedom of speech, freedom of religion, freedom of association, economic freedom, and freedom of the press. If they use it to lie, so be it. We're free to ignore them. Now, because they were armed with these freedoms, and only because of that fact, these Americans, a ragtag bunch of immigrants, many of them rejects from around the world, they and their progeny created the richest, most powerful, most culturally diverse and accepting nation ever to grace this planet Earth. America, the only place specifically invented and designed so that every American can live their life in the manner they choose, unlimited by their background, upbringing, race, color, or creed, unhindered by the government or those who would use government to control others for their own comfort, benefit, or power. This Bob Cordaro show, it'll always be convincingly conservative, lovingly logical, proudly and passionately patriotic, and reliably right. And so, we gavel to order today's meeting of the Club for Common Sense, promising you that our total, immersive, immovable commitment to common sense will provide a sanctuary of sanity to all of you who hearken here for the balance of this singular, extraordinary morning. Well, good morning, everybody. You might as well finish the song, Hawaii Five-0. It's got me in a lather. And gentlemen, start your engines, more appropriate than ever with this IndyCar race that Trump has wedged into Washington, D.C. It's going to be really extraordinary to watch. I don't know if it's Saturday or Sunday. It's going to be on Fox. I'm guessing Sunday. By the way, it didn't work yesterday for some reason, but we're back on live stream. You could go to our WILK, Bob Cordaro Show on YouTube. And you will see that our friends at Roach Supply are bringing you the live stream of my alternately smiling and scowling moon face. And we remind you, Roach Supply, they are the premier bath and kitchen supplier in Northeast Pennsylvania. 75 years in business. Why? Because they're fair, they're honest, they're great at what they do. That's why. 96-year-old veteran, Ron Roach at the helm. 3 generations working side by side, making it happen. Visit roachsupply.com today. ROCHE. So, I've told you that the mayor of Scranton, who's trying to become a congressperson because she hates being mayor of Scranton, she hates Scranton. She moved to Scranton to get into office. And she got in with the right people, the establishment, frankly. Like, this is this Page Against the Machine stuff actually makes my stomach turn. She is the establishment. She got herself appointed to school director in the city of Scranton. And when they had to come up with some tough budget decisions, she fled. She resigned. She ran because of her future political viability. And she had her political value. You want to talk about establishment? She got a job from the now chairman of the Democrat Party of the state of Pennsylvania. She's against the machine. Well, her entire campaign is based upon lies. Lies about Rob Bresnahan. Lies about her agenda. Lies about who is supporting her, like the Soros family and this little scumbag Goldman who wants to mutilate children in Ballackinwood. That's her fundraisers. But she's gone another step because she's got between her, who she's a disgrace, frankly, but she's got worse people than her around her. Like the people from Fight who are running her campaign, like a little twerp named Wendy Wilson. And all they do is lie. All they do is lie, and it's disgraceful. And one of the objects of their lies is our dear friend, Chelsea Bresnahan. And she's on with us now. Chelsea, tell me what happened, please.
Bob, first and foremost, love the show. Thank you for having me on.
Thank you.
But
Always.
I'll tell you what, I'm in a lather this morning as well.
Good.
So just to give you a little background, there's an ad running right now that highlights the radical ideology of a group that is supporting the mayor.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't want to get lost in the details of the ad because what's important right now is how Mayor Cognetti and her allies are responding to the ad.
Well, they're slime balls, so it's not going to be good. But tell us.
Well, they're trying to compare a drag queen named Chlamydia Burns performing for children to my husband putting on a pair of high heels and raising money for breast cancer.
Oh, God.
And we've reached that level of insanity. And the issue is...
Oh, I know they were tweaked that she got caught supporting this drag queen. And I mean, the name's Chlamydia. She's performing for children. Her name's Chlamydia. That's what she calls herself. It's insanity. But anyway, let me not detract from what your message is.
They're trying to make this about what Rob did for charity or sharing a stage with somebody for a different charity event, the Dancing Stars of Wilkes-Barre, instead of talking about or defending her radical ideology beliefs.
Oh, God.
So their response here is to point the finger at my husband for putting on a pair of heels to raise money for breast cancer when my sister has been battling breast cancer, by the way, since 2019. So if their big gotcha is that Rob was willing to do this to help women fighting breast cancer, I'm extremely comfortable defending that. This event had nothing to do with politics. It's about raising money for people in the community. And then they go a step further beyond the breast cancer and attack him for helping out the Dancing Stars of Wilkes-Barre, which is a fundraiser for children with special needs who want to participate in theater. An event we transformed, and Rob dug into his own pockets and moved to the Kirby Center to transform the event and make it a long-standing, hundreds of thousands of dollars fundraising event for children with special needs in our community.
My gosh.
Both of these events, Bob, are bipartisan. They're community fundraisers. Dozens of community leaders from both sides participate in these events. Breast cancer and helping children with special needs is not a partisan issue. So to attack us for participating while asking many of the same people who participated in these events alongside Rob or in years before or after Rob was there and asking them for support or asking them for votes is extremely disingenuous and insane.
That's who they are, disingenuous and insane. I point out all the time, Fight, the group that is running Paige Cognetti's campaign, is the Mondani campaign brain. And they were the same thing for Graham Plattner, the Nazi communist in Maine, who had to eventually leave because he was so disgraceful. See, they cannot defend. She cannot defend who she is and what her agenda is. So I get.
No, so she's going to point the finger at us But the funny thing is, Bob, this attack only highlights what we've been saying about my husband all along. Long before he was a member of Congress, guess what he was doing? Showing up for Northeastern Pennsylvania,
Yep.
raised money for local charities, supported local businesses, volunteered his time, was willing to do anything to help. He had to take tango lessons for the Dancing Stars of Wilkes-Barre and got up on stage and performed because I looped him into that to raise money for children. So he didn't start caring about this community when he began to run for Congress. He has a long-standing record of caring about this community, and it even goes back to 2006. I have a newspaper clipping of him sandbagging West Pittston when the floodwaters were coming.
Well, let's talk about Paige Cagnetti's roots in this community. They don't exist. They don't exist. They were being placed by the establishment in a school board position, placed by the establishment as the mayoral candidate, fundraising the whole package, and left-wing lunatics and Soros contributors all behind her. And that tells you what her agenda is. I'll tell you what, I love it because this clown, which is what he is, this clown who performs as Chlamydia what? Chlamydia something or other.
Chlamydia Burns, Bob.
As a drag queener that was in the picture of one of your commercials with Paige, exposing her for what she is. Well, he is all lathered up, and this is the response? Oh,
yeah, they can keep talking about why my husband was wearing a pair of high heels. I'm happy to talk about why he was raising money for breast cancer that my sister's currently fighting. And then we could get back to the actual political debate about Mayor Cagnetti's record, ideology, and the groups that are supporting her.
Amen.
Indirectly or directly.
Yeah.
So let's have that conversation before we bring women battling breast cancer across the country into it.
But wait, she doesn't accept corporate PAC money except through other PACs.
Don't get me started, Bob.
I know. Well, Chelsea.
I told you I'm in a lather this morning.
Well, I'm so happy you called in because they've got to be exposed for who they are. They really have to be. And this is another obvious proof of who they are. Yep.
Yeah. Talking about attacking somebody for bipartisan charity work to avoid having the real conversation is an embarrassing attempt at a distraction.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much, Chelsea. I appreciate it, my dear.
Thank you, Bob.
Stay
Have a great
safe,
weekend.
Stay strong on the campaign trail, all right?
Thank you.
Thank you, Chelsea Bresnahan. We'll take a break. We'll be back. It's the Bob Cordaro Show. Bobby Lewis. Murph tells us he had the #1 hit with Tossin' and Turnin'. This date, 1961, of course, the famous Lincoln-Douglas debates. Now, they were true debates, by the way. There was no moderator. They just went back and forth. And it established Abraham Lincoln and propelled him to the Republican nomination for president and the presidency. And he lost the race, by the way. Somebody texted in, don't get in a fight with a pig. You get muddy and the pig likes it. I know. That's it. That's Wendy and Paige and fight. So Rob O'Donnell, not only is he a fun and great afternoon host, but he's still, as I used to say when I was a child, a detective. So he sends me this New York Post story about the leader of Fight, one of the founders, Scum, a guy named Morris Katz. And Fight is the agency that represents Page because they go for all communists. I'm telling you, they go for only communists. Not just Mamdani, not just Graham Plattner, but name them. You just name who they are. And it's these spoiled rich kid communists. And he's been involved in every one of those campaigns for the left-wing sickos. And he was really, as the Post calls it, he was fueled socialist mayor Zoran Mamdani's meteoric rise. And then he was involved, you know the other slime balls they're talking about? Communists that are running for Congress and everything? He was behind all their campaigns. The Fight Agency. They represented Democrat, socialists, communists, this Chevalier, Claire Valdez, Brad Lander, and Micah Lasher. All the scum. All the scum of the earth. And now Paige Cognetti. What does that say about Paige? And this clown, he stuck his landlord. He's making millions, literally, off these campaigns. He stuck his landlord and left the place a spit house. In a fancy apartment that he just had to have. And the, the superintendent says, well, he's one of these rich kids. And they're all effed up. He said his priorities are completely lost. Unbelievable. This is Paige Cognetti's brain trust. It's disgusting. I mean, if she doesn't disavow them, if she doesn't give back the Soros money, if she didn't give back this little scumbag Goldman in Bala Kidwood, who loves child mutilation, and has made it his cause for life, which is why he gave money to Paige, raised money for Paige, because then she is for child mutilation. Quite sickening. I'd love to hear Paige, somebody text in, I'd love to hear Paige Cognetti's husband come on and defend her. I bet you money he couldn't do it. Oh, no, he calls the Sue Henry show under a fake name. He doesn't identify himself. He calls the Sue Henry show under a different name. He called this show once or twice under the same name. He doesn't identify himself. It's Paige's husband. He does defend her. We'll give him credit for that. He just doesn't do a very good job at it. Quite amazing. So also, the listener continues, I'm pretty sure there's been plenty of local officials, Democrats and Republicans, that wear heels in Pittston as a fundraiser, as well as for breast cancer. The Democrats will try to twist about anything. Not the Democrats. These aren't Democrats. These are sick, twisted communists. You don't hire the Fight Agency. By the way, somebody says, Bob, you call Graham Plattner a Nazi communist. Do you realize that's an oxymoron? No, it isn't. Not even close. Do you know what Nazi stands for? National Socialist Party. The government control, not ownership, but government control of the means of production, private industry. That's what the Biden administration was trying to do. That's what the Democrats are. They're the same thing. They're not even two sides of the same coin. They're the same side. Hitler hated communism, not so much because the philosophies were different, but because they were inferior people, the Slavic people that ran Russia and the Soviet Union. So no, Nazi communist is exactly who they are. That's exactly who they are. 9:32 on my Picardo's watch. We'll be back. Our Veterans Tribute this day, as with every day. This hour, as with every hour, brought to you by our man, John Basiliga. And It's Friday, so it's the weekend. It's time to think about Basiliga hospitality and where we're headed this weekend. And he gives you lots of choices. The Old Brook Inn, 307 Springbrook Township. The Far Street Tavern on Far Street in the Great Trips Park section of West Scranton. The Queen City Tavern right on the main drag in downtown Oliphant. Coming soon, casual dining at its best. The reimagined legend, Coney Island Lunch on Lackawanna Avenue in Scranton, companioned with Reagan's Ice Cream Shop, named after his daughter at the same location. And the Scranton Art House, the best place to watch a movie. And the best food, the best everything. Dominic Luparella. Beautiful obituary. We lost him July 20th. It said, I can hear him now. And on July 20th, 2026, heaven gained a brilliant problem solver and a man who loved his wife dearly. So much so that everyone knows her name because he loved to say it. Dominic Anthony Luparella was born in New Bradwell, Wolverton, Bucks, England in 1945. He served this country as a proud Marine and lived by the Marine motto throughout his life, Semper Fidelis, or always faithful. He was a proud American. After his military service, he returned to his hometown, Carbondale, PA, and fell in love with beautiful and spirited Ann Wilson. They were married in 1968. Dominic and Ann made their home in Connecticut, where he rose through the ranks at Pfizer. They were always a team, working to make their home beautiful, supporting one another with intensity and connected through a deep love. Adversity arrived at their door a few times, and together they worked through it. When Dominic retired from Pfizer, they moved to Florida with the hope that they would love it, and they did. Once again, they created beauty in and outside their home and enjoyed neighbors. True to form, Dominic managed the landscaping in his community, and the outcome was stunning. He became an expert on plants and trees. His keen mind, perfectionism, and creativity allowed him to manage the landscaping needs of his community with what looked like ease. Ann cared for Dominic while his health declined with dedication and love. They maintained their daily rituals like playing bubbles. They loved to see each other win. Their relationship was truly a love story straight out of a novel. Dominic's final resting place will be in Sarasota, Florida. Sarasota National Cemetery with military honors. He's survived by his wife, daughter, grandchildren, sister, sister-in-law, niece, and cousins. The obituary concludes, thank you for your service, Dom, and thank you for being a fiercely unique man. Dominic Luparella, our great veteran, and his tribute this hour brought to you by John Basiliga and the Basiliga Hospitality Group. AccuWeather forecast brought to you by another great gang at Montage, the water park, and this afternoon's a water park day, believe me. The AccuWeather forecast says this about Montage. Areas of morning fog will reduce visibility. Otherwise, this afternoon, partly sunny and warmer with a high of 80. Tonight, clear to partly cloudy, low 59. Tomorrow, humid with intervals of clouds and sunshine, high 78, low 65. Sunday, mostly cloudy, humid, couple of showers and a thunderstorm, high 80, low 57. Monday, partly sunny, high 77, low 53. Tuesday, mostly sunny and pleasant, high 77, low 57. It's a water park weekend at Montage where it's 62 degrees as I speak. The Rolling Stones, this date 1965. Then the number one album with Out of Our Heads, featuring their iconic hit, Satisfaction. Murph tells us all of this, and that's why we know it. Bob Cordaro back with you. And, yeah, you heard that. I'm telling you, the Democrat Party of today has devolved into nothing but lies. They pretend there's a difference between the Chuck Schumers of this world, the Hakeem Jeffries, and the communists like Paige Cognetti. They pretend there's a difference. There is no difference. What is the difference? One says we want to abolish the Supreme Court. The other says we want to pack it with Democrats. Obviously, because they're not trying to change it now, as one of our great listeners pointed out yesterday. They're not trying to change it now when Trump would have the appointments. They're going to change it when they have power, so they have permanent power, so it doesn't follow the law anymore. They don't want to get rid of the Senate. They want to destroy the Senate by allowing 4 Democrat senators to come in, representing Washington, D.C., and Puerto Rico, the new states they envision. Crazy stuff. I mean, it's nuts. They were all for the open border and destruction of our culture. All the harm that came to Americans, working people, their wages, the fentanyl crisis, and all those deaths that families faced. They're identical. There's no sunlight between them. I want to go back to one of our listeners says, don't get in a fight with a pig. You get muddy and the pig likes it. Yeah, and that's very true. And they are pigs. The other side is pigs. The Paige Cognetti side is a bunch of pigs. Disgusting pigs. That's who they are. Sorry. That's the fact. Communist pigs. Left-wing lunatic pigs. The difference, though, is we have truth. All they have are lies. And they're doing it. They're going to do it anyway because they're pigs. They can't help it. They can't help themselves. Literally. So you go after special needs children, a charity event for special needs children, and a fundraiser for breast cancer. They will go lower. You have seen nothing yet. Believe me. You've seen nothing out of this Paige Cognetti campaign yet. And they will have endless piles of money because the communists want to control this congressional seat. I had somebody talking to me yesterday, Mr. Paul, our executive producer. He said, do people realize that they only get one vote in Congress that's theirs, and they want it to be left-wing lunatic Paige Cognetti? What has she ever done? What has she ever done? She's advanced herself. What has she ever done for anyone else? Nothing. Literally nothing. And back to another text. I'd love to hear Paige Cognetti's husband come on and defend her. And I told you he does. But he uses a nom de plume. Or should we say nom de radio. He calls himself Tom. His name's Ryan. And he calls in Thomas from Scranton. And he called into this show, and he calls in to Sue Henry. And he tried to call into Rob O'Donnell, and Rob saw the caller ID was Paige Cognetti. Oh, Lord, Lord, Lord. One of the trolls, wow, you know you've lost your argument when you resort to calling your opponents pigs. Well, what are they? Seriously. Tell me a better name, and I'll call them that. You tell me, troll. Tell me. And it's derived from a Mark Twain, by the way, the saying. So please, you're going to instruct me on morality when your candidate, your sickening pig candidate, is attacking Rob Bresnahan and his wife for raising money for breast cancer and special needs children. Please tell me. And by the way, supports, speaking of special needs children, supports targeted abortions against Down syndrome children. Please tell me, what should I call her? That's as far as I could go on air because of FCC rules. And that is the sad truth the trolls will never face. We'll be back. Well, we captured maybe one of the main differences besides ideological lunacy of Paige Cognetti. Chelsea Bresenhek, his spouse, Rob's spouse, calls in under her own name and says who she is. Paige Cognetti's husband calls in under a different name and pretends he has nothing to do with Paige Cognetti. I mean, if that doesn't tell you everything you need to know, I don't know what does. My God, disgraceful. Joe from Trips Park texts in, he says, to quote Reagan, if we lose freedom here, there is no place else to escape to. Our government overspends and underdelivers. The last thing we need to do is give them more money and power. It's like bringing a car back to a bad mechanic that never fixed the problem and paying more for each visit. And these clowns in the communist wing of the Democrat Party, which they're all in line with, are still praising Castro for murdering and imprisoning opponents, tens of thousands fleeing the island from his oppression, economic absolute disgrace. You can't even keep the power on, and they're still talking about communism. This is who Cognetti is with. It's insane. You can't. Oh my God, this communism is really neat. Let's call it socialism. And it's failed everywhere, and not just miserably failed. It's responsible for probably over 100 million deaths. And they want more. You know why? Because they want control. That's all they care about. They want control over what you say, do, and think. Because they're uncomfortable and they know they're wrong about everything. They know it deep down. Another text, Bob Tom from Dallas. Not to be confused with Tom from Scranton. Yeah, the mayor's husband. But to your troll texter on your pig comment about Paige Cognetti, what do you call a person who campaigns with a doctor that makes money on mutilation of children through operations and chemical castrations? Amen. Pig is a pretty calm, analytical description. It is. Oh, Lord. So when I think about Paige and Fight and Wendy and all the left-wing sickos, let's turn to Mother Teresa for some consolation. And I missed it yesterday. I don't know how, but I did. It said for August 20th, St. Teresa, we too are called to withdraw at certain intervals into deeper silence and aloneness with God, together as a community as well as personally. To be alone with him, not with our books, thoughts, and memories, but completely stripped of everything. To dwell lovingly in his presence. Silent, empty, expectant, and motionless. We cannot find God in noise or agitation. St. Teresa for August 20th. And for 21st, August 21st, Mother, how can you remain so joyful, surrounded by all this suffering and aware that so many are indifferent? The question always makes me smile, said Mother Teresa. Jesus is the source of my joy, not anything in this world. I go to prayer every day so he can fill me with his joy. When I am weary and discouraged, I go and sit with Jesus. He invited us to do that. Come to me, all you who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon you and learn from me, for I am gentle and humble of heart, and you will find rest for your souls. For my yoke is easy and my burden light. St. Teresa for August 20th and 21st. Thank you, Mary Regina. And as we roll up to the top of the hour and the news, you just have to reiterate this stuff. Somebody says, just FYI, Cognetti Camp is also on Scranton Reddit group under different names trying to influence people there too. Of course, they're phonies. They're fakes. They are all fakes and phonies trying to lie their way into office. And then when they get the power, oh, will they put you to the woodshed? Woof. That's what they do. That's who they are. It's a disgrace. And by the way, I have a lot less problem with the actual communists who say they're communists. They say right out what their agenda is. Got to give some credit to the Democrat Socialists of America, the Communist Party that owns the Democrat Party, more so than Paige Cognetti, whose husband calls under a different name, who pretends she's not for what she's for, who lies about her campaign and her opponent. It's insane. Honesty would be refreshing. We don't have it here on the Paige Cognetti campaign, that's for sure. 10 o'clock on my Cordaro Jewelers watch. Let's take a break. We'll be back. Well, great good morning, everyone. And thank you, Sarah Palin. It is a beautiful Friday, August 21st, year of our Lord 20 and 26, 10-10 on my Picardo Jewelers watch. This is the Bob Cordaro Show. I am he, and it's a big day to fight for America, defend our values, and honor, with the help of our man John Basiliga and his great Basiliga hospitality group, the brave who have made us and kept us free. People like the veterans we honor today, having lost them this year, like Dominic Luparella, Carbondale via Florida, Philip Dunio, Dunmore via Georgia, and Arthur White, Selinsgrove. So with history, our amazing founding fathers, and the incomparable Constitution of the United States of America as our guides, let us continue today's battle, reminding you that this Bob Cordaro Show will always be convincingly conservative, lovingly logical, proudly and passionately patriotic, and reliably right. And yes, the double entendre is intended. And with that gavel, we are back in order after a brief news adjournment for this meeting, today's meeting of the Club for Common Sense, promising that our deep and unalterable commitment to common sense will provide a sanctuary of sanity to all of you who hearken here. And a side benefit, we've just been approved by the FDA as idiot medicine. Yes, indeed. The Bob Cordaro Show is a proven cure for idiocy, and we'll clear you up if you choose to. Idiot medicine is very important. We need you to do it. Now, a guy who he's just been involved in that long, lonely rear guard fight against insanity and using common sense in Washington, D.C., which is a rarity. Phil Kerpen, the president of American Commitment, we've had him on a number of times, and he wants to come on the show regarding how the Biden blunders actually made drug price controls even worse. I told you the other day, Axios, of all places, reported that prescription drug prices year to year, because of Donald Trump policies, have been reduced by 3.5%. Astonishing. It hasn't happened in the modern world. Like the last time it happened, everything was different. 1960, 61. Amazing. But here is our man Phil Kerpen from American Commitment. Phil, welcome back to the Bob Cordaro Show.
Hey, Bob, you got me questioning if I say your name right now. I don't know. I say Cordaro. Is that right?
As well, Sarah Palin couldn't get it right, but Cordaro's good, yeah.
Oh, good.
I answered anything, Phil, especially from you. Especially from you.
Yeah, it's amazing. You know, the prescription drug prices actually dropped more than 3% year on year in July. It's the biggest drop since they started keeping the statistics in 1970, so that's a long time. And if you look at the chart of prescription drug prices, it's very interesting. They declined through Trump's first term. They spiked along with everything else during the massive inflation under Biden. Now they're coming down again, and it's the exact opposite of what the media told us over and over and over again. All the Democrats with their great price controls are going to save us all this money on prescription drugs. The Republicans are in the pockets of Big Pharma. Not so. It's the Trump market-oriented policies where he's basically telling these guys, you've got to compete, you've got to have direct sales competing with pharmacy sales, you've got to compete with each other, bring down the price of these weight loss drugs, you've got to bring production back to the U.S., invest in the U.S., you've got to stop giving a free ride to foreign countries. All the stuff that Trump is doing, it's worked. It's worked. And not only has it worked, but it's worked without the price controls, which caused so many problems that the Biden people wanted to put in. And by the way, the price controls didn't even lower prices. When they passed the Inflation Reduction Act, they said, oh, we're going to spend so much less on prescription drugs and Medicare is going to spend all this money. Medicare spending on prescription drugs is up. It didn't do at all what they said that it was going to do because you put bureaucrats in charge. The insurance companies game the thing and they take more money than ever. We pay more than ever. It disappears into their profits. It didn't accomplish anything they said it would. What works is competition. And, Trump basically said, We're going to have direct pharmaceutical sales on Trump RX and through Mark Cuban's site. We're going to have, lots of different ways people can get drugs. We're going to make the big pharmaceutical companies that are selling these weight loss drugs cut their prices dramatically to compete with each other. And that's what worked. Not what the Democrats told us would work. And, obviously things are still more expensive than we would like. I'm sure your listeners are thinking, oh, great, it went down 3% after it went up 100% or whatever. But the direction matters a lot. The direction matters a lot. And if you can keep something moving down, even very slowly moving down, while incomes continue to grow and so forth, it gets much more affordable over time. Now, the hard thing is, can we do it for physician services, hospital services, insurance premiums, the other aspects of healthcare that are going up like crazy? And, the president hasn't quite accomplished that yet, although he has some very good ideas that he's trying to do along those lines. But it is remarkable how successful he's been on prescription drugs compared to, what the Biden administration did.
Well, Phil Kerpen, he's our guest. He's from President of American Commitment. One of the things we noted is that government increased activity in healthcare has resulted in crazy health insurance and healthcare inflation since Obamacare was instituted. It's been off the charts. Deductibles, premiums, copays, and actual
right.
medical prices have skyrocketed because of the government's involvement.
They've gone crazy. The fastest rising component of the entire economy in terms of prices over the last 2 decades consistently has been hospital services. It's up even more than higher education, which is number 2. Now, what do those 2 things have in common? Massive government subsidies. And when you massively subsidize something with taxpayer dollars, especially when you have high barriers to entry, limited number of providers, what do? They jack up the price and they capture those subsidies. And that's what we've seen in higher education and hospital services. And there's an overlap, by the way, because you got a lot of university hospitals who are double winners of this policy at the expense of all the rest of us. And there are a lot of aspects of this that have caused it. One, we've got tax laws that massively favor these institutions. Most of them are nonprofits. They don't pay local property tax. They don't pay federal income tax. And that's why you've seen universities and hospital systems just gobble up everything in sight because they have this huge advantage. They can take things off the tax rolls. We've got payment policies in Medicare that have basically said if you're a large integrated health system, we're going to pay more for the same visit to the same doctor than we would if the doctor's independent. So what happens? All the doctors sell their practices, right? Because they can get bigger salaries because the government's paying more. So we've got these very twisted policies. And, of course, in Obamacare, they also did crazy things like banning physician-owned hospitals, which is kind of like you scratch your head. If a physician wants to own a hospital, what are we so worried about? They say, oh, well, they're going to do self-dealing. They're going to refer people themselves. And then I say, well, what do you think the current hospital systems do? They don't refer you outside. Everything is, that's not unique to. So we've got a lot of these policy problems that have driven this massive consolidation. And then what happened with Obamacare also is they told the insurance companies, look, you are limited to a certain percentage of all of the money you bring in that you're allowed to keep. The rest has to be paid out in claims. It's 15% in the large group market. It's 20% in the other markets. But so basically, you can't make more money by driving a hard bargain for lower prices and paying less. You only make more money when you pay more for claims because you're only allowed, right? So we set up this structure where you have a huge subsidy flow, where you have a huge incentive for consolidation and destroying competition. And then we set up a market where the payers and the people they're paying both benefit from higher prices rather than lower. And so this is what's happened.
It's perverse incentives, top to bottom. Now, and Phil, these are the people proposing these, and let's take aside those, obviously, that are benefiting from the current system, and that's pharma, that's big pharma, big hospital, all that. Do politicians and policy wonks in this area, do they get it that Obamacare has failed, or are they still saying, oh, no, we need more government, like in their heart of hearts and in unrecorded moments? Are they admitting that Obamacare has failed and that the government is screwing up the entire healthcare portion of the economy?
Well, here's the problem we've got, Bob. The Democrats love to talk about healthcare and love to do healthcare bills and somehow still have an advantage with the public on healthcare. But everything they do makes things worse. And even though they passed this system and they caused all of this, they still say, oh, the problem is there's too much private sector here. We need more government control. We need, total government control. Okay. Now, the Republicans, they say all the right things. They say all the same things you and I are saying. but then they don't do anything. They don't actually pass things. They don't actually fix the problem. Now they've done a little thing. They've done some little things, particularly in terms of the PBM reform, some other things. They got some Medicaid reforms in the big beautiful bill. I don't want to say they've done nothing, but they've done very, very little. And particularly on Obamacare, I mean, it's crazy. We had this huge debate last year. The Democrats shut down the government for like 7 weeks. At the time, it was the longest shutdown in history. Then they had a longer one this year for DHS, so that's a whole other thing. But they had the longest shutdown at the time in history over this whole thing of we can't let the supersized COVID era Obamacare subsidies expire. It's going to be the end of the world if they expire. It's going to be a total disaster. For once, Republicans held their ground, right? They didn't cave. They didn't extend it. They said, taxpayers paying 75 or 80% of the premiums is more than plenty. We don't need to pay 95. It's going to be very subsidized even without this. We're going to let it expire. And they did. None of the stuff Democrats said would happen did. And they just changed the subject. They said, okay, we'll do our next shutdown on ICE instead. We're done talking about Obamacare now. And Republicans who had actually introduced some really good reforms that actually would lower costs and create more competition, fix a lot of things we're talking about, they said, oh, Democrats stopped talking about health care, so we don't have to pass our bill. We'll switch to another topic too. So I mean, it's very frustrating, honestly.
You've got to be extra frustrated because you've been on the policy front for so many years against insanity, and now you have Republicans and they've got very slim majorities, and there's the reality of the current filibuster.
Could they actually pass a great bill in the Senate? Probably not.
Yeah.
I mean, this is the thing that drives me so nuts is we got all these people that are like, get rid of the filibuster and then we can do it. And I'm like, we don't even have 50 votes for any of these good ideas because we lose a bunch of Republicans.
That's one of the reasons they don't want to get rid of the filibusters, because things like the Save America Act, it'll expose Republicans who don't want it.
Exactly. You're exactly right. They would not have 50 because it would be, Murkowski and Tom Tillis and, Cassidy and Cornyn and whoever else wants to spite the president, and it would fail anyway. That's the thing that's so pathetic.
Crazy stuff. And I was discussing with somebody, I said, well, don't blame Republicans writ large. It's 4 or 5 of them in the Senate that are causing the problems to a clear path, but it's 100% of the Democrats.
Yeah, well, maybe 100% minus Fetterman, or at least in sound bites.
Sound bites.
Right.
Yeah, he never votes.
Yeah, you're right. It's pretty much 100%. That's a good point.
Crazy stuff. Well, Phil Kerpen, thank you very much. You got to keep us straight on these facts, and you must pull your hair out from time to time, but please. I
don't have much left, to be honest. That's the problem.
Keep fighting the fight for us, Phil Kerpen. American Commitment, really. And by the way, how can people get involved with American Commitment or find out more about you?
There are a couple of websites. AmericanCommitment.org is our main website. I'm also doing a healthcare project with Steve Moore and Thomas Phillipson that goes through a lot of the ideas talking about in detail. If people want that one, it's mostfavoritedpatient.org. And I'm also on X. It's my last name, Kerpen, Kerpen.
All right. Well, thank you for always coming on with us. We look forward to talking to you again.
All right. Have a good one. Bye.
Thank you. Phil Kerpen, American Commitment. We'll be back. It's 10:23 on my Picardo's Watch. Tommy James and the Shondells. Murph tells us this date, 1968. They moved up to number one in the UK for the second time with Monet Money. Bob Cordaro back with you on the program. Somebody says 20 years from now, kids won't want to be astronauts, doctors, etc. They'll want to be politicians because they'll be the only ones who have any money. Yep. Under their system, you know that. Someone texting, I always tell people, listen to Bob Cordaro. Spelled it wrong, but that's okay. Who knows corrupt politicians better than a convicted felon politician? Exactly. And another, you honor Korean war vets, yet you support a president who sold out South Korea. Well, that's a lie. See, you live in lie. This is one of the trolls. You live in Lieville. You're an idiot. Sorry. You lie about everything. Do you know anything about South Korean politics? I talked about this yesterday, but see, you don't listen. You're incapable of it. Then they continue. You quote Mother Teresa, yet you call your opponent pigs. Okay. I'm not Mother Teresa. I'm certainly not a saint, and I don't think it's coming. So I don't even get your point. We aspire to be better. But why does it bother you? This is a problem with these people. This is your mental illness. You're mentally ill. Face that fact. Go and look in the mirror and say, oh, I don't care about 130,000 fentanyl deaths because the Democrats want an open border and Biden is lying about it. And so is Kamala, and so is Mayorkas. I don't care. But by the way, me calling somebody a pig is a problem. But you don't care about that. You don't care that they lied to you about, after the Dobbs decision, that abortions wouldn't be happening in the country, and there's more abortions than ever. You don't care about that. You don't care about targeted abortions of Down syndrome children. But you're worried about me using the word pig. By the way, all of these things is why I use the word pig. You don't care about someone lying, a candidate, your candidate, Paige Cognetti, lying like a scumbag about Rob Brasnahan's record and attacking his efforts to raise money for charities. You don't care about that, but you're worried about them being called pigs. You don't care about communists trying to take over the country along with Islamists, but you're worried about me calling somebody a pig. Get your act together. You're a disgrace. Wake up. We'll be back. Our Veterans Tribute this hour brought to you by our man John Basiliga. He does it loyally, patriotically, lovingly. And on Fridays, we talk about Basiliga Hospitality Group. In addition to great bar restaurants, there's two amazing restaurants. The most beautiful old world and new world experiences you will have in dining. And that's the Terra 519, downtown Scranton. It is the facility, the restaurant, it's meticulous. It's outstanding. The service, the food, new chef Alex Diaz, affordable alternatives and opportunities to hang in a beautiful, beautiful restaurant. And then you go to downtown Wilkes-Barre and you got the Stegmeyer Mansion, the Mary Stegmeyer Mansion. And a great event space, but it is one of the most beautiful, comfortable restaurants living in, just hanging out in old world splendor that you will ever experience. This is what the Basiliga Hospitality Group brings to you. Philip Dunio. We lost him July 5th. He was 86. Born in Dunmore, Phil will be remembered for his kind heart, loyalty, strength, and thoughtfulness. Naturally reserved, those who knew him well appreciated his patience, gentleness, and sense of humor. Phil was a devout Christian. He found joy in the simple things in life and lived a life marked by steadfast love and devotion to his family. He was a former athlete and lifelong baseball enthusiast. He found the love of his life, Donna K. Dunio. They shared 60 wonderful years of marriage, an example of commitment and unconditional love. Phil is survived by his wife of 60 years, the aforesaid Donna, who resides in Georgia, his son, his daughter, his grandson. Phil spent the first part of his life in Scranton, PA, and over 30 years in Sarasota, Florida, before moving to Georgia in 2025 to be closer to his son and daughter-in-law. Phil was an honor graduate of the University of Scranton. One of his greatest joys was inspiring and teaching high school kids. Phil was proud to serve his country in the U.S. Navy, and his ashes will be interred at the Georgia National Cemetery. A great honor. Philip Dunio, our great veteran this hour, brought to you by John Basiliga and the Basiliga Hospitality Group. AccuWeather forecast brought to you by the great gang at Montage, where the water park's still in full swing. They've got amazing specials if you go to their Montage website, because it's the end of the season. I'm scared to say it, but it's true. Today, partly sunny and warmer. It's going to be about 80 degrees this afternoon. Perfect water park weather. Tonight, clear to partly cloudy, low 59. Tomorrow, another great water park day. Humid with intervals of clouds and sunshine. High of 78, low 65. Sunday, mostly cloudy and humid. There might be a couple of showers and a thunderstorm. High 80, low 57. Monday, partly sunny, high 77, low 53. Tuesday, mostly sunny and pleasant. High 77, low 57. And that's your weather, brought to you by the great gang at Montage Mountain, where the water park is still happening. Well, it's a Picardo's watch. And here he is, our man Alex Picardo. Alex, how are you, my friend?
Good. How are you guys?
I'm doing great. And listen, first of all, my condolences. This insane construction that is happening downtown. I came to visit. I almost couldn't get in. It's like crazy.
It's very hard to get in down here, but we are open. I want to stress that. It does not look like we are open, but we are here, And because of that, if you do take the time to pull in, we're going to do special pricing until this is over on anything in the store.
What is the nature of the project?
Well, downtown, I believe, are doing all new sidewalks and
Lord.
refacing, which I think is great, but it's a lot at once. But it is what it is, and you got to.
Well, because it's an election year. You don't have to comment on this. It's an election.
Yeah.
The mayor's running for office, so let's tear up the whole downtown. So in October, I can say, "Hey, look what I did." God Almighty.
That's true, but in a good way to look at it. Hopefully, the downtown will be looking wonderful, getting ready for the fall season. This is my area. I grew up downtown Scranton. No matter what, we're the longest and oldest business in Scranton's fact. So whatever we can do, and we also have some things up our sleeves after they're done to reface the outside and make it look pretty for everyone coming into the city.
Now, you guys, you're not going to have the auto show, I guess.
So we did postpone the auto show only because you cannot get in, but that's not saying we are not going to do it. So this might be a fall show, which is, get the cars off one more time, take the covers off them, and enjoy them.
Not bad.
So I will keep you guys informed with that. But right now we're taking all the good that we can with the bad and just working around it. But we are open, special pricing throughout our store. You can still pull in. Please be careful. But I am here. We are not closed. I know it looks it, but we are open.
Well, as you say on your commercials, I'm always here, and you are.
I'm always here.
You're dedicated to this business, the family. There's a thing about, and people need to understand this and appreciate this, what a family business goes through. This is not the first problem you've had being in downtown Scranton either,
No, it's one of many, but again, it's a family business. It's not easy. We're small guys, but we do our best. That's all I can say is we're doing our best.
What sells the most late summer? Is it the watch collection, which is extraordinary, or is it jewelry, or do they both sell equally well?
We bring a lot of people in. Watches definitely is a great seller in our business. You get a lot of people at the Radisson who walks over, a lot of pilots. But I have to tell you, a lot of guys walk in. Our jewelry selection is amazing. Our John Hardy brand is huge. We do very well with that.
Tell us about
our diamond collection and our bridal collection. We have so many options, different stone cuts, everything here for you to see. We have something that you could come in and see different size stones, put them on rings. So we try to be different. Yeah. John Hardy is a handmade line that we have. Very, very old school. It's been around for a long time, high end, but the prices are right. Something to definitely look into. If you want to see it in person, I just got a whole slew of merchandise in that we're actually putting out today.
So you're doing sort of extra special pricing for the people who go through the little bit of, it's only a little bit of a headache. I admit that.
It's only a little bit of a headache. Today might be a little bit of a challenge, but it is what it is my favorite saying.
But you'll save enough money to make it worth your effort to get into Bacardo's.
I will absolutely make it worth your while. Yeah,
I love it. I love it. Thank you, Alex. It's always great to hear from
You're
you.
Welcome.
And we want to hear from you more
guys.
often. We want to hear from you more often.
I would like that. Thank you.
All right, my friend.
Have a great day, everyone. Thanks.
Alex Bacardo, Bacardo's Jewelry, your watch store, your jewelry store, downtown Scranton, Jefferson Avenue, and Spruce Street, catty corner from the Radisson. Can't beat them. The best place to go. It's by the way, great place to hang out. Good little bar. 10:44 on my Bacardo's watch. We'll be back. Did anybody? I got to be the last one that found out that and thanks to Murph, that the song is called "Sweet Hitchhiker." I had no idea what they were saying. I just liked the song. This day, 1971. Murph tells us Creedence Clearwater Revival moved from number 15 to number 6 with that song, "Sweet Hitchhiker." Bob Cordaro back with you on the program. When I hear him say Baltimore, I realize that the disgrace of those who voted to put the Biden banner up in the Green Ridge Neighborhood Association is complete. He's not a veteran. He's from Baltimore, not Scranton, in his own words, not mine. What a disgrace. Biden banner disgrace, stolen valor, stolen hometown. Day 249. Disgusting. As someone just said, Paige Cognetti's theme song, Liar. This date, 1971, Three Dog Night had their sixth top 10 hit at number 10 with Liar. Dear Lord, it's disgusting. Somebody texts in, hey, Bob, do you know Kevin from Dunmore? He's in Paige's commercial. He looks to be 18 and says he lives paycheck to paycheck and blames Rob Bresnahan. Rob's only been in office for a year and a half. I mean, my God, you can't keep up with their insanity and their lies. You cannot. You can't keep up with them. So the person that's worried about me saying pigs, well, what about liars? What do you got a problem with that word too, even though it's obvious? And idiots proposing more government when, as one of our listener points out, Obamacare is a joke. The best price I got was $2,600 a month with an $18,000 annual deductible. Why? I'm a 9/11 first responder with multiple medical issues, says Bill Lukazik. Unbelievable. Cabinet guy says, how about Cognetti trying to take credit for what Rob has accomplished? She's a phony. You're right, cabinet guy. Taking credit for funding the police. She didn't appear when Rob gave them $500,000 in the city of Scranton cops. Didn't appear. Because her political benefit is more important than Scranton. Period. Or any of its people, by the way. Ginny C says, Bob, you're correct. The Dem Boob Party doesn't care about all the, where are we here? All the murders by illegal criminals, abortion on demand, the ruination of our cities and towns. But we as a nation cannot defend ourselves or our allies, and we're criticized. I stay strong, and draw from our founders. By the way, Cognetti is a lying, fake disgrace. I hate her false, smug ads. LTS, and thank you, the old gal from Mountaintop. And make sure you vote, old gal. That's all we want. Another Page's commercials have a toothless old guy speaking. Does she think that's what representative of our area? We're toothless old dopes? Yes! That's exactly what she thinks. Deep down, she knows she sucks. She's been a horrible mayor. She knows she's a phony. She knows she's lying. Who do you think is going to vote for that? You have to be blind, dumb, or both. And this is all of the people of her ilk. Elitists who look down on regular people. That's what they do. That's who they are. They know better for you, and they're going to do for you with their government power what they think you should have. And they're going to take away what they think you should not have. There was no greater example than her pal Joe Biden. Trail to absolute trash. I was going to say trailer trash, but I know too many people that live in trailer parks that ain't like Joe Biden and his scumbag family. That's who they are. That's who Paige is. She's above us. She's the queen. Her ideas are above our heads. That's why we don't understand. Everything she's done, everything she proposes, everything she pushes is either outright insane or has already failed. But we're too dumb to know that, so she'll take care of us. They're actually promoting communism, which has failed and brought misery everywhere it has been. And they do it without shame. It's insane. It's really crazy. You just say to yourself, what is motivating this? What is motivating this? And then because they're promoting something that is wrong, objectively, not subjectively, objectively wrong, provably stupid, they then have to either lie to cover it up or lie about it. Obamacare has failed miserably. It has dramatically increased health care costs, dramatically increased health care premiums, dramatically increased health care deductibles and copays. It's an abject failure. I was talking about this during the first Democrat shutdown. They're shutting it down because they don't want to admit Obamacare failed. And everybody says, well, what's the solution that the Republicans have? Well, they don't have 50 votes for a solution. They don't have one. They've got several. And unfortunately, they don't have enough votes. And the Democrats will oppose every one of them 100%, so they can't get anything done. Okay. Pox on both parties. But the Democrats won't even admit what they've done has failed, even as they're voting for more money to cover up the failure. Really crazy. Bob LTS, my travels brought me to Lake George, New York. Beautiful place. It is, isn't it? I was in a bar last night and some gentleman heard about Cognetti. He told me he hopes Pennsylvania does not go the way of New York. People need to get out and vote. They are paying the price in New York for it, says the electrician. Oh, they are. It's insanity. You can't make up what idiots these are. We've got a guy, same brain trust as Cognetti has, the fight agency, the scumbag who wouldn't pay his rent being the co-founder of Fight. Their advertising agency, their brain behind the campaign. Well, this gang elects Mondami on affordability, and rent in New York City is off the hook. Nobody can afford New York City because of them. They won't admit it. They'll just double down, as though the money that comes from the government is theirs. These are scary people. They're scary stupid, but they know how to get power. They know how to lie. They know how to deceive. Don't fall for it. And those of you who are normal, don't get soured. Go out and vote against them. 11:02 on my Picardo's watch. Let's take a break for the news and come back. Great good morning, everyone. It's 11:08 a.m. on my Cordaro Jewelers watch. This beautiful Friday, August 21, year of our Lord 2026. This is the Bob Cordaro Show. I am he, and it's a big day to fight for America, defend our values, and honor with the help of our man John Basiliga and his great Basiliga hospitality group, the brave who have made us and kept us free. People like the veterans we've lost this year, but celebrate today, thanks to John, like Philip Dunio, late of Dunmore and Georgia, Dominic Luparella, Carbondale, late of Sarasota, Florida as well, Arthur White, Selinsgrove. So, with history, our amazing founding fathers, and the incomparable Constitution of the United States of America as our guides, let us continue today's battle. Gaveling back to order after that brief news adjournment, this meeting, today's meeting of the Club for Common Sense, promising that our deep and unalterable commitment to common sense will provide a sanctuary of sanity to all of you who hearken here. And a special added feature. Our idiot medicine has been approved by the FDA. So the Bob Cordaro Show is now a proven cure for idiocy. So listen and learn, and you will come along and become normal. You won't be a Page Cognetti voter. Somebody texts in, I believe I read this morning, the same agency, that's called the Fight Agency, I add, that represents or represented Graham Plattner, Mamdani in New York, and Page Cognetti is representing the lunatic mayoral candidate against Karen Bass in Los Angeles. That's who this woman is running for our congressional district. She's one of them. Yep, 100%. On another issue, Brett from Shikshinny says, Bob LTS, when Obamacare went into effect, my insurance skyrocketed. I guess I had to pay for other people's health care. Somebody's got to pay. And by the way, one thing that has happened is the erosion of medical professionals who get paid less. Do you want to go to medical school and become a specialist in some arcane area when you're not going to get paid? You can't do it. It is eroding the quality of health care even as it's costing more. There's the government intervention for you. There's the Page Cognetti plan. Make it worse and tell people, oh, we'll do more government since the government's failed you. The government's caused the problem, so guess what? We'll do more government. That's their solution. They're insane people. They truly are. So we've been, what's her name? This Casey, or I apologize. I keep losing track. We don't cover these things very often. What's the lady's name, the trial going on? Oh, Lindsay Clancy. It's on my monitor. The Lindsay Clancy trial, it's become important to a lot of people. It's becoming less important to me. I got to be frank with you. But we have one of the best analysts, criminal prosecutor, Dominic Morocco, attorney Dominic Morocco, both state and federal prosecutor, and he's going to come back and start practicing here in Northeast Pennsylvania in criminal defense. And he's been following the trial for us, and he is with us now, which gives me interest in all of this stuff. Dominic, welcome back to the Bob Cordaro Show.
Bob, thanks for having me.
All right, so where do we stand? The defense is probably wrapping up today, I guess.
That's correct. Yeah, at least the last I saw a few minutes ago, the defense was on their last medical witness. Another witness they've introduced to demonstrate or try to demonstrate to the jury that Clancy was, in a psychotic moment, hearing voices, et cetera. That is what I believe to be their last witness, and then they will rest.
No character witnesses? Well, I guess they already had the sister and the mother-in-law and all that, right?
That's right, yeah. And that's actually an interesting point you make, Bob, because in this case, every single family member that testified, the husband, the mother-in-law, the sister, all expressed empathetic feelings towards Clancy. And that's kind of rare in a case like this where you have family members that were killed, but then also the same family members are expressing empathy for the defendant, which is an odd circumstance.
Isn't it? This case, it sort of tears at me, and I'm hearing a lot of people sort of snapping back at this, poor Lindsay. She killed her 3 kids. I mean, these kids are dead. It's over.
That's right. Yeah, there's regardless of the outcome of this trial, you would have to think that she's going to be living with some form of tremendous guilt and overwhelming emotional feelings for the remainder of her life, aside from any legal consequences that she may or may not face as a result of this trial. Yeah, talk about something that luckily you and I and many others will never even have to put ourselves in those shoes.
Yeah.
But it's quite the dilemma for the remainder of her life, and she's a young woman. So it's not like this is going to fade away anytime soon. Criminal defense attorney Dominic Morocco is with us, former prosecutor, both state and federal. Dominic, what do you see as the outcome? It seems to me as though we're getting towards an insanity defense that works for Lindsay. I think you're right, Bob. I think that the overwhelming evidence in this case, certainly what was put on by the defense, but interestingly enough, what was also put on in part intentionally or indirectly, or maybe not so much by the prosecution, was that this woman had a mental illness. Now, of course, the prosecution argues that any illness that was present wasn't enough to dispel any criminal responsibility, but the fact that it exists, Bob, is the totality I think the jury's going to come to. Because remember, as we discussed a couple of times earlier this week and last week, in this case, there are very few, if any, facts that are in dispute.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of how you interpret that fact, and that's why it'll be great to listen to these attorneys in closing argument, because they're going to be given essentially the same script. It's just a matter of what they argue was the plot that got us to this circumstance.
Well, 2 things. The defense, you can never predict a jury. You've done
Correct.
so many jury trials. You know, like, what is this one thinking? What is that one thinking? And very often you'll be focusing on someone, and they'll be the exact opposite of what you thought they were, you know?
That's right. Yeah, as we discussed on another call, it's, there are elements of the crime, there are witnesses you put on and evidence you put in. And even though under the law, the jury is supposed to consider all of that for their verdict, oftentimes, and like you said, I've lived this and I've seen it firsthand, they focus on a fact or an element that is tangential to the general message of the attorney. And unfortunately, if that's what sticks with them, that's what they vote on. The saying goes, Bob, and I've used this often even in closing arguments, is that jurors often consider their verdict based upon what they remember, but often their decision is based on what they'll never forget. And in this case, that nuance might be the testimony that they've heard about this woman hearing voices and this woman taking 13 medications and the healthcare lapses that have occurred. And from what I'm hearing right now, despite that the prosecution may have done their best efforts, I'm not hearing much that will help a juror overcome the totality they've heard of these mental health issues and these medical concerns that put the defendant in the position she was.
Well, 2 factors to me that tell me that it's probably going to end up as not guilty by reason of temporary insanity is that, number 1, she's got a better lawyer. he's much better, much easier on the ears and eyes and everything. I mean, just much better. And the second part is, and much more personable, but the second part is, it is undisputed that she continued to aggressively seek mental health treatment.
100% agree with you, Bob. I'll take your second point first is yes, they've introduced factual evidence and testimony of this woman reaching out to suicide hotlines and seeking mental health counseling and all of those other factors that go into that, which is uncontroverted. Even some of the prosecution witnesses have outlined the steps she took. And then to your first point, Bob, I was watching the testimony yesterday, and I couldn't help but come up with, and it's not my term, but it's just a common term. I think of the word tone deaf.
Yeah.
And when I say that, to me, that's how the prosecutors are coming across. Is they're doing a decent job by the book and the technicalities, following the rules of evidence, introducing what they're supposed to be doing. But it seems like their behavior, their tone of voice, how they move in the courtroom, the types of questions they ask, the sound of their voice is not being done in a manner that is going to be receptive to the jury. And I think in some cases, it may be even turning off the jury. So I agree with you that if anything, the defense attorney is being more of a layperson, if you will, and presenting very scientific and medical testimony in a manner that is easily understandable by the ordinary juror.
Well, Dominic, we want to keep you on this case because it is interesting to a lot of people. To me, as a legal premise, it's just fascinating. But it means a lot to a lot of people. So we're going to keep you covering it, and I appreciate it so much.
Happy to do it, Bob, and as always, happy to be with you and your audience.
All right. Attorney Dominic Morocco, our defense attorney, on the case with Lindsay. We'll see what happens. 11:19, we're going to come back with David DeCosmo because this is a banner day in local history. This date, 1981, Murph tells us Santana, Carlos Santana, up the charts with their hit Hold On. And, of course, Ruby Ridge. That was this date, 1992. The 11-day siege began. Bob Cordaro back with you on the program. Well, David DeCosmo, you know he's our local historian. And he dropped a little amazing factoid on me and said, but I'm not available today. But guess what? He became available, and here he is, our man, David DeCosmo. How are you, brother?
Hey, doing just fine, Bob. And another thing on this day of 1878, Lackawanna County was officially born.
Wow.
It was a 40-year battle to the folks that lived in the Lackawanna, what is now Lackawanna County, to secede from Luzerne County. Because in the early 1800s, Lackawanna County, because of the iron furnaces, was suddenly becoming pretty big. The population increased. It was more than Luzerne County, but the Constitution at the time didn't allow for a separatist movement. The Constitution changed, and all of a sudden they saw an opportunity in 1878 to form their own county, and they had a vote, and that would have been on the 14th of August of that year. And by a 6-1 margin, the folks in Lackawanna County, what is now Lackawanna County, succeeded in secession, and their own county was formed. Actually, before that, there was a compromise made when they were trying to form a county, and they broke off a section of Luzerne County, but that became Wyoming County. So imagine that, in 1800, Wyoming County and Lackawanna County and Luzerne were all Luzerne County. That's a pretty darn big space.
I think it would have been great if they had stayed together. I remember telling Bill Clinton up at our friend Jamie Brazil's house, I said, do you know that Lackawanna is an old Indian word for land of many chiefs?
Yes. Yes. Well,
the old Monsignor McGowan joke.
and they could be celebrating the Pittston Tomato Festival then as part of their own, rather than having to cross county lines. By the way, it was the last of Pennsylvania's 67 counties to be formed.
Well, after they formed Lackawanna, they said enough of that.
Enough is enough, right? That's fine. So today we mark that anniversary, which I don't think most people know about. I came across it quite accidentally in doing some research, and I wanted to let you know about it. And I got tied up with some things today, but I thought, let me just sneak.
I'm so happy you did. I was a Lackawanna County commissioner, and I didn't know today was the anniversary. I knew we were the youngest county and the last county formed in Pennsylvania, but I didn't know today was the date. How about that?
Yeah, well, of course, as I say, the population soared. Remember that Scranton City itself is the only second-class city in Pennsylvania, and that was because of the population at the time where it qualified for that second-class status, and it maintains that even though the population is nowhere near what it was at one time.
Yeah. Amazing stuff. So August 21st, 1878, the 40-year battle with secession by people from Lackawanna County, it ended with the official establishment of Lackawanna County. Wow.
Right. So it's an important date. And for one other reason, as a mutual friend of ours celebrates a birthday today, for guy we haven't seen for a little while, unfortunately, because dealing with some health problems. But today is Andy Mahalchik's birthday.
Oh, our man Andy. How about that? That's great.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
So, happy birthday.
So there you go. There's my contribution today. Have a great day. Hope all your news is good.
Well, we love it, David. Thank you so much, because that adds a lot to the show. Thank you.
Okay. You're welcome, buddy. Take care.
All
Bye-bye.
right, my man. Well, headed up to 11:30 on my Picardo's Watch. That means we'll take a break, listen to our great sponsors, and we'll come back with the Veterans Tribute, the weather, and more on the Bob Cordaro Show. Our Veterans Tribute this hour brought to you by our man John Basiliga. Well, that is a brand that means something. And it means a lot when you're spending your hard-earned dollars to enjoy yourself. You want to go to places that give you return and value. And that is the Basiliga Hospitality Group. The Old Brook Inn's 307 Springbrook Township, the Far Street Tavern on Far Street in the great Trips Park section of West Scranton, and the Queen City Tavern on the main drag, downtown Oliphant. The Scranton Art House, voted the best movie house in Northeast Pennsylvania. Sergei's Live, the nightclub on Linden Street, downtown Scranton. It's the best nightclub there is, I'm telling you. And I'm not just talking about Northeast PA. Fine dining, the best, the most beautiful. A Terra 519, a new world feel and touch with new chef Alex Diaz making it happen with so many affordable options to be in that beautiful setting for a dining and drinking experience. And the Stegmaier Mansion does the same thing in an old world setting. These places are awesome. And the Coney Island lunch is coming soon. The reimagined tradition that is Coney Island on Lackawanna Avenue, paired with Reagan's Ice Cream Shop, named after John's daughter, Reagan. Awesome. Arthur White. We lost him at age 80. He was from Selinsgrove, a Vietnam vet who loved old gospel songs and NASCAR. He went home to be with his Savior, Jesus Christ, on August 5th. Born in Berwick, he married the love of his life, Linda K. Mowry, in 1968. He lost her in 2013. Arthur attended Central Columbia High School and then enlisted to serve this country in the United States Navy as a CB. He served 2 tours in Vietnam, along with some of the bravest men he had the honor of knowing. Arthur worked many jobs over his lifetime, first at a cigar factory in Berwick, then the Weiss ice cream plant in Sunbury, co-owning with his brother Lyle the Sunoco station in Selinsgrove, where he was a mechanic as well. Then he was a Snap-on tool salesman, also working at the Sunoco in Shamokin Dam. He then worked 34 and a half years for Pepsi-Cola, retiring in 2012 as territory coordinator. Arthur was a dedicated, loyal, hardworking, respected employee, co-worker, and manager. He'd been a member of the Faith United Methodist Church, where he led his family into knowing Jesus as he did. He also was a member of the Selinsgrove Moose Lodge. He loved old gospel songs and loved to stand with his family and sing and raise his praises. He enjoyed working on vehicles, helping others, including strangers, and in doing so served his Lord. His favorite snacks were anything involving peanut butter, York peppermint patties, or ice cream. He enjoyed playing Parcheesi, and he and his loving companion Sandy Silcox played over 10,000 games. Not kidding. They kept a log. Arthur is survived by his 3 wonderful children who remained by his side till his passing. His 4 grandchildren, 1 great-granddaughter. Arthur was preceded in death tragically by his daughter, Wendy Lou White, back in 1996. Vietnam veteran, 2 tours, Arthur White. Our great veteran this hour brought to you by John Basiliga and the amazing Basiliga Hospitality Group. AccuWeather forecast brought to you by the great gang at Montage, which has the water park in full swing on a perfect water park day. Today, when the cloud is moving aside, but it'll be partly sunny and warmer later, high of 80. Tonight, clear to partly cloudy, low 59. Tomorrow, humid with clouds, intervals of clouds and sunshine, high 78, low 65. Sunday, mostly cloudy and humid with a couple of showers and a thunderstorm, high 80, low 57. Monday, partly sunny, high 77, low 53. Tuesday, mostly sunny and pleasant, high 77, low 57. And that's your weather. Brought to you by the great gang at Montage Mountain, where the water park is in full swing. Check them out at their website, Montage Mountain Resort, because they've got amazing specials at the water park as the season winds down. Yeah. That means Tina Morocco is in the house. It's a 2 Morocco day. She is a global sales advisor at Sotheby's Realty in Naples, Florida. She's your trusted guide for Florida real estate, specializing in Southwest Florida. You can reach her at Sotheby's in Naples or Tina Morocco, Muracco, Morocco.com, or on any social media. Tina, how are you, my dear?
I'm fabulous, Bob. How are you?
I'm doing great. I've said it's a 2 Morocco day. I love it.
Back to back.
Well,
what do you more of that.
Yeah, what do you got for me? What do you got? Well, I love hanging around with the two of you together. So that's. But talk to me. What do you got today?
Well, I was thinking, we've talked about on the show before about how a lot of our properties in Southwest Florida sell furnished and turnkey furnished. And you might remember me saying do that because to ship the furniture back to up north or wherever they're headed is expensive and sometimes, not worth it.
Yeah.
And so right now I have a seller who's, he has a new construction home. He's selling it turnkey furnished, but also the boat is negotiable, the Grady White boat, the 2 jet skis, the car, the golf cart. So everything is, anything to sweeten the deal.
That's really turnkey.
That's turnkey, yeah. So move right in. But what we haven't talked about with these situations is the whole industry that's evolved around the furniture, the buying and the selling of the furniture that comes out of these houses. Because what happens a lot of times is people love moving in. It's easy to move into a property that's furnished. You don't have to worry about, I don't have a bed to sleep in, or I don't have, anything to do. So, but what happens is people move in and then they want to customize it. And so what do you do with that furniture? And, sometimes what do you do with the clothes that are left behind? And in Southwest Florida, a lot of this furniture is new or brand new, and a lot of the clothing is designer clothing. So we have a huge industry in Southwest Florida for consignment and resale, and so much so that some of the shops, the trails of the shops, they're called Trails of Treasures, and we have people that come down to Southwest Florida just for these consignment shops.
How about that?
Because they know how good they are. Yeah, and actually, I was talking to 2 friends of yours. They bought a place in Southwest Florida, and they're like, what? Where are there shops that we can buy, furniture here? And I was like, you have to check out some of these consignment shops because let me just tell you, a lot of the stuff still has the tags on it. They're brand new.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's really quite fascinating. So even if you're not looking to buy or sell a property, but for sellers too, it's nice because if you don't want to sell your property furnished, or for me as a real estate agent, when I have a seller that wants to sell the property furnished and the buyer doesn't want the furniture, we can always send it to the consignment shops. The consignment shop will just come pick up everything from the store, or if they just want to donate it, we have so many organizations like St. Matthew's House that will just bring vans and clear out the houses. And it's more like a Salvation Army or something like that, where they're donating. Yeah, so it's just interesting, different type of, I don't think you see that as much in Northeast PA. But,
well, Tina Morocco, the logistics of all of this is very important in terms of the convenience and even the possibility sometimes of a
Mm-hmm.
move, because these are all factors. Well, geez, I got to furnish the house now. I got to do this, and the cost of it,
It's
et cetera.
overwhelming.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, such a great industry for us as real estate agents, but also for buyers, sellers, and visitors to Southwest Florida. These consignment and retail shops are really quite something.
I just wear my clothes till they fall off. but I might have to check that out.
Next time he tells you need new clothes.
Exactly. Well, we don't know if it's the 240-pound Bob or the 210-pound Bob. That's another issue. But Tina, this is great information, as you always provide. It's interesting, and it makes the move easier in a lot of people's minds. But I always say this, and I don't say it kidding. That's why you got to go to Tina. And she'll tell you all this. She'll guide you through all this. It's very important.
Well, that's why I'm here. Give me a call.
Well, Tina, thank you so much, as always. We could buy used. We could buy furniture. We could buy anything. And we could sell it, too. Thank you, Tina Morocco.
Right. You're welcome.
All right.
Take care, Bob.
That's our Tina. She is Global Sales Advisor at Sotheby's International, Naples, Florida. Your trusted guide to Florida real estate. You could contact her through Sotheby's in Naples or go direct, TinaMorocco.com, MURACCO, on her website or any social media. Your trusted guide to Florida real estate, specializing in Southwest Florida. We'll be back. Thank you, Gerard Mayer. And thank you, Frank, who's on a bar stool in Noumea, New Caledonia, where it is 2:45 in the morning. Bob Cordaro back with you. Did you hear the Shapiro commercial? I mean, this is the birds of a feather. He and Paige. I played the clip for you. He fast-tracked and gave tax breaks to data centers. Shapiro did. And then Stacey Garrity came out and said, I think we should have a pause on the development of data centers. And he's now criticizing her for being for them when he was the one who started it all. Do you see the shamelessness? It's insane. By the way, somebody points out, don't tell me Dave DeCosmo is going to cover the Lincoln-Douglas debate. And another listener, another horrific part of Ruby Ridge, which we featured on the history, is that the Aryan Nation group that the ATF set up Randy Weaver to get him was actually another undercover FBI group. So in theory, the Ruby Ridge happened over nothing because the government was being slimy. They were not the first time, was it? Let's go to Bruce in German. Bruce, how are you, my man?
Good. How you doing? It's been a while.
I know it. It's good to hear from you. Now tell me, your German Historical Society is going gangbusters, and today is this great anniversary of Lackawanna County's creation.
Yes, it is. Yeah, I'm sitting here looking at the book, A.H. Winton, The Story of Lackawanna County by Aileen Solom Freeman. If you get a chance to read it, that is a great book. I read it quite a while ago, and I was just reviewing some of the things that were in it, and they're talking about Luzerne County didn't want to break away, didn't want Lackawanna County to be formed, and everybody in Lackawanna County said you could travel around the world 4 times before your case is heard in a court in Luzerne County.
Yeah.
So they wanted their own county, and then Carbondale wanted to be the county seat. And there was a fight between Carbondale and Scranton, and this A.H. Winton, who the Winton family was a very wealthy family, coal mining and railroad family. Town of Winton was named after them down in Jessup, and he fought and fought and fought and fought and fought for it. A.H. Winton.
Fascinating.
It's a great read. It really is.
And it's at your Historical Society up in German.
Yeah, we have a copy here for anybody that wants to take it out, and as long as they return it, just like a library.
Mm-hmm.
We have a lot of local books, a lot of local authors and stuff here. So,
how are things going at the Historical Society? The new building, everything's done now, right?
Everything's done. It's open. We've been open since November. I just installed some new bricks in the brick walkway this morning. We get new orders for bricks all the time. People want to, keep somebody in memory and or honor somebody. And I'm doing yard work and stuff because it's such a beautiful day out here. The wind, tiny little breeze, and nice sunshine, and not a lot of humidity. So I'm doing a little work outside, and we get visitors every day.
Where is it located in German, Bruce?
710 Madison Avenue.
All right.
It's an old Welsh church from 1884 to 1916, and it's been remodeled to look sort of like a church again, but also like a museum. And the inside is just changing every day. Every time I come in here, I see something I want to do different. So we're constantly having people bring and donate stuff. We had a lady come in from New Hampshire a couple of weeks ago and brought a whole collection of glass that was made in the glass factory in Germany. It was all cut crystal. Beautiful crystal.
I had never heard that the crystal was made in German. You hear of Dorflinger, our local amazing place, but never heard of it in German.
This glass rivals Dorflinger glass. It is absolutely exquisite. It was here in the 1800s, and I think it burnt down in 1916, the glass factory. It was called the German with a G, like Germany, when it was first built. And then when they changed the name of the town to German with a J, they changed the name to Kohiner Glass Company, and then it became the Laurel Cut Glass Company. And that's the name most people know it by. And you can find Laurel Cut Glass I've seen it on eBay. I've seen it in different like yard sales and things where we found some pieces of it. We have a catalog of it, so we can recognize it. And it's beautiful, beautiful glass.
How great is that? Well, Bruce Smallcomb, thank you so much for checking in on the German focus of the Lackawanna County story. We appreciate it, and I love the fact you guys have done that. It's great to have that.
Oh yeah. We're 4 miles from Carbondale, so we're in the middle of Scranton and Carbondale. So we were in the middle of the fight between the two cities that wanted to be the. So we were actually named 4 Mile Point at one time. So
no kidding.
We've had 5 different names: 4 Mile Point, Baconville, which I want to do a big Baconville celebration with bacon, nothing but bacon, pork.
I'm in. Very crisp. I'm in. Oh, Bruce, thank you so much. What a great way to wrap it up here. That's great.
Well, I heard Dave DeCosmo, and he's going to come up here and do a presentation for us. I don't know when. We set a date yet, but he's going to do a presentation on the Titanic again.
Oh, well, make sure you bring us in on that, okay?
Yeah, he does a great presentation, and he's doing one on Palooka. He's working on that. He's not done with it yet.
Love it. Well, thank you so much. Bruce Smallcomb, German and the German Historical Society. Good stuff. Well, as we head to the Bloomberg Money Minute, we're running it a little late at 11:55, but we're going to do that. Just want to point out to you, we've got a couple of things to do, but Roach Supply bringing you our live stream on YouTube, Bob Cordaro Show, WILK. 75 years in business. They're great. ROCHE, RoachSupply.com. Stores in Honesdale and Chapman Supply in South Abington Township. Wrapping it up with Sam and Dave. They released their hit Soul Man this date, 1967. And we got a couple things we got to do. Policeman's Prayer, brought to us by our man, Nicky DeSando. Think about our cops this weekend. Lord, bless the ones who wear the badge, the ones who walk the beat, protect and keep them safe while they are on the street. As they wait and as they watch, doing good for all, guide their minds and give them strength for each and every call. Ready to put their lives on the line, give them courage each day. Let them know you're always there in each and every way. So bless the ones who wear the badge, protect them from harm. Always keep them safe and in your loving arms. And then Tomorrow Never Comes by Norma Cornett Merrick, found in the blessed obituary of Doreen Goriev a few years back. Just reminding us to reach out when you have a little extra time this weekend. If I knew it would be the last time I'd see you walk out the door, I'd give you a hug and kiss and call you back for just one more. If I knew it would be the last time, I would spare an extra minute or two to stop and say I love you instead of assuming you know I do. So just in case tomorrow never comes and today is all I get, I'd like to say how much I love you, and I hope we will never forget. Tomorrow isn't promised to anyone, young or old alike, and today may be the last chance you get to hold your loved one tight. So if you're waiting for tomorrow, why not do it today? For if tomorrow never comes, you'll surely regret the day that you didn't take that extra time for a smile, a hug, a text, a call, or a kiss, and you were too busy to grant someone what turned out to be their final wish. So hold your loved ones close today and whisper in their ear that you love them very much, and you'll always hold them dear. Take time to say, I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you, or it's okay. And if tomorrow never comes, you'll have no regrets about today. 12 o'clock on my Picardo's watch. That means we got to go. Somebody texted in, and you're right. I'm happy to do it again. Remind everyone of the IndyCar race in D.C. on Sunday. Trump always puts on a good show. I'm with you. I'm going to be watching. I just can't wait to see those cars going through historic Washington, D.C. Guys, have a great weekend, God willing. I'll be with you Monday at 9. But for now, we must gavel to a close today's meeting and this week's meetings of the Club for Common Sense. Have a great afternoon and a great weekend.